Hey y'all, welcome back to the Rat Shack. Alright, today I'm going to look at the AccuTools DS-220, the digital scale 220. I had a preview earlier. Here it is. A nice rough surface on it, built-in handle. See how the head unit stows inside the base, and the cord wraps and stows on board here. And a little groove. Pretty cool little setup, actually. Some of the cool features of the DS-220 are the nice display. Of course, it's got a kickstand on the back of it here. You can either set it up at an angle or even hang it somewhere. Kind of hard with one hand, but not impossible. It measures weight and liquid volume. For liquid volume, you have to train it for specific gravity. There's two different liquid volumes. The default is water, and then you train the other one for whatever the specific gravity is of the liquid you're measuring. It also does counting for nuts, bolts, screws, washers, whatever. Built-in memory remembers everything you do as far as programming. 30-hour battery life. High accuracy and resolution. In fact, it has 3 different resolutions. We'll go through that. Programmable with an alarm, so that when you hit the weight threshold that you program in, it sounds an alarm. And with the CM-500, the charging module, it will actually stop the flow. That's what we're going to go through today. Has in the field calibration with as long as you have known weights, and just pretty good. The DS-220, the maximum weight is 220 pounds, 100 kilograms. Uses 4 AAA batteries, and like I said, pretty cool little scale. Weighs about 5.5 pounds. So we're going to go through setting up, programming it for a weight, and then we're going to actually do that. So you just turn it on, hold the power button down. To set a weight, it's pretty simple. You can see here it's not zeroed, so we zero it out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab our refrigerant drum right here, and then hook your hoses up, bleed the air out of them, and then you push the set button, and this is where you set it. So if you push, up or down arrows here to change the weight, but if you got a long way to go, you can push fast, and it increases the rate by 10 times. So I'm going to show you the slow first. So there's slow speed. When you push fast, you see the fast icon come on right there in the left hand corner. Now it really moves, and of course hit fast again to turn that off. We're going to go up to 8 ounces, and then when I hit run, you'll see that right here run is displayed, and the display is zeroed out. So now when I start filling refrigerant, it'll start counting, and when it gets to 6 ounces, it'll sound an alarm. But I'm going to hook up the CM-500 right quick and show you that it not only sounds an alarm, but will stop the flow of refrigerant at that 6 ounce mark. Okay, so here you see the charging module. Everything's hooked up and ready to go. Hoses, and of course here's the display. So all you do is you just slide this in here like so. Just clicks in. Very simple. And it does have a backlight. It's not as good as the blue back that AccuTools makes, I don't think. Move it, and what we're going to do is we're going to adjust we're going to zero it, and it's stage 0, so you can adjust the resolution. There's high, low, and medium. I'm going to leave it on medium, and what that's for is it's because the resolution is so fine on high that if the wind's blowing, you're going to get it, you're going to see that on the scale, and you can adjust the resolution based on conditions. And so you see here that the CM-500, zoom in here, you can see it says valve closed, so I know it's communicating with the charging module. We're going to zero it again, and we are going to push set, and I already have 8 ounces from when we set that earlier, and what we're going to do is we're going to push run, and now you can see it says valve open. Of course, nothing's going because I have the valve on my gauge closed. Zoom this over. Let's see if I can get this centered. There we go. So I'm going to open the valve on my gauge now, and we're going to watch it flow in. And of course I'm charging a vapor here so that it doesn't just flash right over to 8 ounces and we miss it. So the 220 also does volume, like I said earlier. Water is the default. You have to input the specific gravity. There's also a procedure for inputting the specific gravity if it's unknown. You pour the liquid in a graduated cylinder, put it on the scale, and then in the programming mode, you tell it that it's 400 cc's or 1 liter or 1 quart or whatever, and then it'll store that as the specific gravity for that material. Counting, nuts, bolts, washers, things like that, you train it, put 40 of them on there, tell it that it's 40 of those, and then from then on, anytime you put any on there, it will tell you how many there are. Pretty handy if you do warehouse stuff, or even for counting things out maybe on job sites. So we're getting close to the threshold, and we're only at 6. Okay. The cool thing is also that it remembers everything. So if you have when you turn it on, like you saw here, when I just went back into the set mode, at 8 was already in there because we'd already programmed it, even though I had gotten out of it and to hook everything up and set the camera up. So here we are coming up to 8 ounces. Okay, so you see, of course, the alarm goes off, and you can see also it says valve closed, and it makes a little tick. Now the solenoid valve is actually just has a steel stem on it, so it's not recommended to charge caustic materials like water or anything that would react with that polished steel. In other words, it's not stainless, so it's made for refrigerant and alcohols and things like that. Tank capacity mode, again, you have to teach it. So you put an empty refrigerant drum on there, then you put a full refrigerant drum on there, and it will tell you percentage of capacity. So it would say 50%, 20%, 80%, whatever. You can also do it for your recovery cylinders. If you use the same size cylinder, it will tell you if it's full or not. So the units that it will display is kilograms, pounds, pounds and ounces, or just ounces. So for those of you that do reefer work where it's often given as 17 ounces or whatever, you can switch it over to just ounces and charge that way. Of course, it has over range. If you put over 220 pounds on the scale, it'll show you. It'll tell you that. So pretty handy, very handy. Where I think this is going to come in handy is real handy is these VRF jobs we're doing, the Mitsubishi City Multi jobs, where the refrigerant charge is completely calculated. So you calculate everything out, and say you need 62 pounds, then you put 62 pounds in it. Another thing that's nice on the fill mode, on the tank fill mode, is let's say I need 45 pounds in a system and I have two 30-pound jugs. I just put 45 pounds, I just program it for 45 pounds, and when the first jug is empty, then I push hold and I take the empty jug off, I put the new jug on, bleed my hoses, and then just hit run, and it takes off from where it left. So it knows it put, let's say, 30 pounds in there, so it'll put 15 pounds out of the next jug, and then it'll shut down. So you don't have to do math or recalculate, or even if you have a couple of jugs that just have unknown quantities in there, you can put those in first and not have to, again, weigh them, do the math, figure it out, and do it from there. So yeah, all you have to do is, when you do that, is press hold, take your tanks off, switch them out, and push hold again, and it just takes off from where it was. And that's either in the charging mode or the regular mode if you're sitting there watching it. So in the regular mode without the CM-500, the alarm will sound and you have to turn the valve off on your gauges. With the CM-500, it will actually sound the alarm and close the solenoid, just like we saw here. So I think for the price, it's does a whole lot more than other scales. Not a whole lot more, but it does volume, and it actually has an alarm for threshold, which is pretty cool. Other scales do counting and everything else, but this is nice, small package. The cord stows on the scale, the head unit stores on the scale. It does come with a carry case, a little nylon carry case that the CM-500 also fits in. But the CM-500 and that threshold really sets this one apart. I would like to see a wireless display, and I know this is pie in the sky stuff, but if you could actually set this up so that there was a temperature input on the suction side and pressure and temperature input on the suction side to charge by superheat, or on the liquid side for subcooling. And really pie in the sky would be to have a communication module where it would communicate with, for example, testo tools or field piece tools or digital tools, so that all you had to do was plug in and it read the subcooling right off of those digital manifolds and would start and stop the flow of refrigerant based on that. I know that's getting out there, but someday we'll have it. So anyway, that's the review. It's cool, it's good, it's rugged, built in Coral Springs, Florida. It's a good tool. So that's it for the DS-220. They have another one called the DS-220R, which is basically just for refrigeration, or designed for refrigeration. And to tell you the truth, I don't know what the difference is. I think maybe it doesn't do volume. I don't remember. But that's the 220. For the price, it's comparable to other scales. Get the CM-500 with it. It'll do what other scales won't do. And you have a nice, tight kit. Works great. Loud alarm. Alright, that's it from the Rack Shack. Laters.